You think it might be kismet?
I think it's possible because it was okay today when I was out all day.
Wow. Maybe you're allergic to me.
Well, that's also a possibility. Okay, I'm gonna record on this too.
I'm gonna just tell Sean coming back to work.
You know what? It's not working to record. I don't know why.
No. Oh yeah. No.
Just in case we are late.
Well, I know Sharon was carpool once we had to go home. Cartwheeling. Yeah, Sharon's gonna cartwheel here.
ACI 13 class 4B 4 part 2. Alright.
Oh, right here.
Is it good? ACI 13.
Hey, Sharon, there he is.
4 part B.
Come on in, Sharon. Well, we've all had a bit of a late start here. We had traffic problems and all kinds of. Oh, thank you. No one well today? Do we know what? I haven't talked to him. I'm not sure.
He should be here.
Yeah.
I think he'll be here. But if there's so much traffic on Kingsway, he's probably on
Does
the
he
bus.
travel Kingsway usually? The bus? Yeah.
And it takes ages anyway.
Okay. Ages.
In
All
my
these,
book.
all these increments of time. Jiffy.
Oh, can you not use that in Canada?
Oh, we do.
I'll be there in a jiffy.
We do use it. A bit of a Jiffy. It's an increment of time. What is it?
How big is
Yeah, how
it?
big is it?
Exactly. That's what I thought when I texted it.
Actually, here's a fun fact about Jiffy. Did you know that I think in the 18th century, Jiffy was thieves used it as a term, as slang for lightning. Jiffy.
Lightning? Lightning.
Yeah, lightning.
Well, why?
Well, that's a good question, Carol. One that deserves an answer. Yeah, so a jiffy meant lightning, like it gets quick,
Lightning
right?
move, like a lightning
Like
move. Like a thieving lightning move.
Could be
Like
like,
a pickpocket.
right. Amanda was a pickpocket in her other
I
life.
was.
She was a good one too. She got things in a jiffy. Man will get in a jiffy.
Lots of jiffy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then later on, there was a physical chemist named Gilbert Newton Lewis that actually, and he's responsible for the name photon. Photon. So he decided that a jiffy would be actual a measurement of time. That would be the amount of time it takes light to travel 3 centimeters in a vacuum. And that's so jiffy became a scientific term. So just so you know, you weren't that fast.
I wasn't 3 centimeters in a vacuum, that's for sure.
So jiffy generally means quick,
Very quick.
but it has become an official scientific term. The time it takes light to travel 3 seconds in a vacuum. I mean 3 centimeters in a vacuum. What's that?
How do you want this?
Why did you share that with me?
Maybe it's used so much in your life that you wanted to know what it meant.
Are you just messing with us?
Triggered.
You're just messing with us.
He's brilliant. That word, Einstein.
Keep them guessing. That's why I use oil of Olay. Keep them guessing.
So, what happens when we say Skippy?
Then you get out the peanut butter.
Oh gosh,
Skippy.
I just thought we'd trigger another fun
Yeah, you can look it up. That is scientific term.
Skippy is also skipper on a boat. Like the captain or the skipper.
Yeah.
Skippy.
Yeah. Maybe also the skipper in a curling.
Ah.
The skip. All right, we better get started. We'll have to get Sean involved with the question police. We'll never get through the class. Well, good thing though, well, I don't know if it's good or not, but we're more than halfway through class 4, so we just got a few minor points. Maybe they're not minor points. A few points to cover, and then we're going to get into some like debate.
Was that you or the cat?
Or duck.
Or a duck. Yeah.
What cat?
Carol changed to her natural form as soon as we could see it.
Cats like that. Right, sometimes.
Well, Marcus, do you remember the opening prayers? Do you remember the first word of the opening prayers? All right, you can start. Let's do a short meditation. Pull your mind into the present moment by focusing on how your body feels right now. Feel the weight of your body resting on the floor, cushion, chair. Shift to focus to being with the rise and fall of the belly as your breath breathes your body. Just allow this to happen. Don't change it. Just let it be. Then shift focus to the breath at the nostrils, watching by noticing the physical sensation of the breath passing here. If you're a very visual person, it can help to imagine that your nostrils are caves. Maybe your nostrils are a sea cave and the water's coming in and coming out. Just staying there watching it. Something to keep the mind focused. Now shift your focus to your teacher, whoever that may be for you at this time. And whatever teacher means to you, Lama, Guru, Holy Guide, teacher, remember we've been talking about quality and characteristic a lot in this class, especially in the last little bit there, class 3 and a little bit last time. We talked about the difference between the concept teacher and a teacher and the teacher. And not that we were talking so much about teacher, but just that we could use any concept, anything we see in the world, like car in quotation marks, or the quality carness, the quality car in your mind. And the difference between car and a car and the car. And learning to apply that to simple things like cars and objects, and then we can get good at applying that same principle to everything, including someone like a teacher. Where does teacher come from? Teacher in quotation marks. You think about your Lama, and in your mind, think, well, there's Lama, the quality Lama, in quotation marks, Lama, and then there's a Lama, and there's the Lama. And would any of it be possible without the first one? We talk about that in relationship. If you take away the concept Lama, can any of the other ones exist? Can there be a Lama or the Lama? And where does Lama come from? So rejoice Rejoice in seeing teachers in the world. Seeing, because what does that mean? Where does the concept Lama come from? And if you're not seeing a Lama, meaning if you're not seeing any teacher, if you're not seeing anyone in the world that you perceive having the ability to take you higher, or someone whose qualities you'd like to have, and you're not a Buddha, then how are you going to get any higher if you don't see anything higher than yourself to reach? So rejoice in your virtue. You know, rejoice in the virtue of seeing someone with the qualities of Lama, because they don't come from anything other than your mind. So take a moment and rejoice in all the goodness that you've done to see quote unquote Lama, quote unquote teacher. And rejoice. And also rejoice in all the other people that you know, and all the people that you don't know that actually also have that. And if we can get an understanding of where Lama comes from, and what are the causes? What are the causes that forces me to see somebody that I can strive to be like? And where do these qualities come from in the first place? If we can understand that, then we can understand what will not create more of that. Like creating around thinking that we know things that people don't, and then we want to be the teacher. We want to say things that we know so that we feel good about ourselves. Is that where teacher comes from? Because teacher is not out there. And if teacher is going to continue, and if teacher is going to actually grow and expand and become something that can bring you all the way, then your idea of teacher needs to expand. So if you don't see your teacher as a Buddha, then your idea of teacher needs to expand. So how do we do that? Well, we respect other people, respect our elders, respect all teachers, respect anyone who's looks like they're living the truth or wanting to share the truth or has a passion for teaching anything that they're doing. How do we not do that? How do we stop that from happening? Walk around thinking, oh, I know something that you don't, and here's why. And then let me show you. Let me show you how much you don't know. Let's take a few more moments. Rejoice in quote unquote Lama that is in your mind. Rejoice in the projection of Lama, of teacher, of God. Rejoice in everyone else's virtue, also has the same ability, perception. And then ask your guide to help you with Buddhist logic, tricky subject. Ask them to help you have good motivation in debate, motivation to expose the truth for everybody, you and the opponent and everyone who's around. could be watching and all people that will benefit thereafter. They come into your heart, light up your heart, put a glow in your heart, fill your body with light. Light bursts out, blesses all beings in all directions. Light comes back to your heart. And then rest with your Lama there. And then you can come back to the room. Gently opening the eyes. Staying. If you can, with that feeling of being, your heart being warm with the Lama. If you need to stretch your legs or anything, do that too. That's the magic of the art of reason. The art of reasoning of this course is to take a simple idea that we learn and then you just keep applying it until finally you just naturally apply it to the more difficult things. Because teachers, there are a few things, there are certain things in the world that are harder to see the emptiness of. Teachers are hard to see the emptiness of. Someone whom you're in close relationship with is hard to see the emptiness of. Child, husband, wife, lover, mom, dad. Like, there are certain things that are the people that we've been with the longest or have the most kind of investment in. They're the hardest to see what isn't there. You see, this is what this course and really this whole of ACI, but this one, it takes a more scientific, kind of a logical approach to training us to look for what's not there. See how do you, if you want to see emptiness, the big thing, I want to see emptiness directly. How do I see emptiness directly? Well, you're not going to see emptiness directly without looking for it. How are you ever going to find anything without looking for it? How are you going to look for emptiness? What's emptiness? It's a lack of something, right? So then, how do you see emptiness? You start looking for what isn't there, trying to see what isn't there. You see, suffering, the whole foundation of suffering is built on millions of people trying to look for what is there. Trying to find the causes to things that look like they're there. If you want to reverse the cycle, then start looking for what isn't there. The thing that, right? Start noticing the gotcha, the thing that we deny, the thing that looks like is there. Start looking for what isn't there. And then that will lead you down the path to naturally have a state in deep meditation where you actually see what isn't there and has never been there and could never be there, and it not being there, making all things possible. Who could it be now? Mr. Manuel. Oh. Hello, we just talked about teacher.
What?
We just talked about teacher. The quality teacher, right? Teacher.
Oh, okay.
Teacher, a teacher, the teacher. We didn't really talk about it. I did all the talking, but I was talking. We didn't talk about it. We were meditating. Or you were meditating. I wasn't meditating. Anyways, so welcome, March. We're like deep in the thick of things here in ACI 13. So kudos for bravery. Yeah. So we just need to wrap up last class. So we need to talk about 3 types of relationships, right? 3 types of relationships: the good, the bad, and the ugly. No, that's not true. There's the 3 types of ways that things relate to each other. So any 2 objects in the universe, you put them side by side, they're going to have, there's 3 possibilities for them to be in relation with each other. One is they have no relationship. That's one possibility. The other possibility is they have a cause and effect relationship. And the other possibility is they have like a relationship between quality and characteristic, like Toyota and car. Right? To be a Toyota is to be a car. So they're in relationship. But Toyota and car is like a one-way relationship, because to be a Toyota is to be a car, but to be a car is not necessarily to be a Toyota. So it really only goes one way. And how do you, like, if you take an example of having no relationship, how do you tell if something is in relationship? If you take away one and it doesn't affect the other. Like, let's take Sharon's eyebrows, for instance. So if you had Sharon's right eyebrow and his left eyebrow, how are they in relationship? Well, if you shaved off Sharon's right eyebrow, would that make the left eyebrow disappear? Would that affect the left eyebrow? No. So then you can't say that his eyebrows are in relationship in that way. They're not. They don't affect each other in relationship. And that's the test of whether a relationship holds, is to remove one of the items. Like, if you removed all cars in the world, would Toyotas disappear? Yeah, but if you removed all Toyotas, cars wouldn't necessarily disappear. That's like a one-way relationship. A two-way relationship would be like, say, cars and automobiles. Right? If you removed all cars, then all automobiles would also disappear. So that's like a two-way relationship. And what about cause and effect? Here's where it gets, depending on what school you're in, depending on whether we're going to talk about it in like a sutrist kind of a way or a Mahayana kind of a way. Like, if you remove the tree, do you remove the seed? How could you? The seed's already gone by the time the tree is there. But if you remove the seed, how could there be a tree? So then you can look at it. That's a one-way relationship. If you don't get, fancy, if that's as far as you go, and usually that's as far as we go, because we generally are a little bit afraid to see what really isn't there. What really isn't there. And cause and effect is very elusive, because how could there be a cause for a tree if there was no tree? Isn't something, right? What is the definition of a cause? right? Something that brings out the result, right? You can't be a seed for a tree if there's no trees around.
Plus, don't the seeds come?
Plus, don't the seeds come from the tree? Right,
I was thinking about that last week.
right.
There's these sunflowers in the gardens that are like 8 feet tall now, and I'm looking at them. The seeds are like in the flowers.
Yeah. Somehow, one seed turned into this tall plant that's now has a whole pile of other seeds.
But
One karmic
Grow
seed turned into
into
like
more.
1,000 seeds.
then they grow into more flowers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like.
So you'll see, right? For the purposes of naming, for the purposes of being able to navigate our reality in a sensible way, that doesn't make us insane. We are lucky enough to project, okay, we plant the seed and out comes a sprout. Because we must have a result around in order for there to be a cause. Don't get mad at me. I'm just a messenger. It's tricky. It's very, very tricky because you take something like this and you apply it to anything, and then what's really going on around you. What isn't there? What isn't there? So if a cause depends on a result occurring, we can't call it a cause until the result is there. So yeah. So in a sense, if you remove all the results, you remove all the causes. But that's getting really fancy. That's getting like meditation type fancy, right? Those are the kinds of things that you do in meditation. And you put things in meditation. It's not the kind of thing you do when you're driving a car. Because the person, that's walking across the street, they're vulnerable to the impact of your vehicle. Whether or not there's a cause and a result ultimately, in an ultimate, regardless of whether there's a findable moment or not. Because if you really get down to nitty gritty, then you take a seed and you put a seed in the ground, and at some point it turns into a sprout. And at what moment in time can you say the seed stopped being a seed and the sprout started being a sprout? At what moment in time can you say the sprout came from out of the seed? And this is a very, very famous emptiness meditation, a famous proof for meditation, right? At what point does it become a sprout? You see, we can sit there and do all that and forget that, well, what sprout? There's sprout, and then a sprout, and the sprout. What sprout are you talking about? Are you talking about the sprout that exists from its own side? You see how easy it is to slip away from that? It's like, okay, I'm going to do this crazy thing about the seed and the sprout, forgetting all about the fact that there ain't no seed other than the seed that we're naming as a seed. But John, there's this process going on. It's happening. There's seed, and it's getting watered, and there's sunlight, and it's turning into a sprout, and the sprout is happening. This is really happening. And in some schools, that's the ultimate reality. It's performing a function, so it exists. Ultimately exists. You know, if you can say, okay, no, you know, any moment in time that you could say, okay, this is it. This is the moment when suddenly the seed became a sprout. It happened. You know, okay, well, okay, moment in time. Maybe it was a jiffy. But you can subdivide, you know, any moment in time. You can subdivide it. Was it the first half of that moment in time, or the second half of that moment of time? That was the time that it turned into a sprout. Or was it the first half of the first half, the second half of the second half? You can just keep dividing it and dividing it and dividing it. And there's that meditation. Another famous one is the sperm and the egg meditation. That's a really great meditation. I did that one over and over. I love that one because it's like, okay, you go into meditation and in your mind you visualize the sperm of your father and the womb or the egg of your mother, and they're moving towards each other, and the sperm is getting closer and closer to the egg, and you slow it down in your mind. You slow it down in your mind, and you're like, okay, darn it, I'm going to find the moment that the sperm touches the egg. I'm going to nail that sucker. I'm going to find that moment. And you slow it down and slow it down and slow it down, and you just keep going. And as in your mind, as it gets closer and closer, you've got to, when do they touch? At what point do those two surfaces join? At what moment? Can you find that moment? You can keep dividing it, and there's parts to each one. And was it the, you know, I don't know. Was it the round top of the touch that, you know, and then you just keep going and going until you drive yourself completely insane, and you'll never be able to find a findable, self-existent moment where you can say, there it is, there, it happened. And that is supposed to flip your mind into a perception of emptiness. It's meant to drive you crazy. And if you're doing it right, it should be driving you crazy. And it should make you flip into, oh, something isn't there that I thought was there. Because the punchline is, we'll never be able to find a moment when the seed truly, objectively became the sprout. So how did you go from the bardo into your mother's womb? Right? Can you find a self-existent, objective moment that occurred where you stopped appearing in the bardo and began to appear in the womb? Like, how did you cross that line? So that the logic of it is meant to take us to a place where things don't make any sense anymore. Things don't add up anymore. The magic moment that's very tricky to hang on to. Like, we can get there and kind of hover there. That's the idea, is to get there and hover in the feeling. It's not meant to blow apart reality so that you then go insane and think nothing matters because everything is empty. It's just the opposite. It's meant to think, oh, it's because that there is no findable moment that I could say objectively exists when I appeared from the bardo to the womb. It's because there isn't one that it's possible for me to live in a reality where it did happen. Because if we could say that's the moment, then How could there be? How could there be a self-existent objective moment that wasn't dependent upon the perception of it happening? Right? So we have to really think about this, like externally existing from its own side objective moment. Because what is time? Time is a concept. Time, a time, the time. If time is self-existent, it could never change. You know, we couldn't ever get outside of that. Limitation. It's a limitation. The karma of limiting other people is one of the karmas that must be related to us being trapped in time. Got to get to work on time. Only got so many years to live. It's like this accepted concept. And everyone's got a different idea about it. Ask Alvaro. You know, there are people that are like that don't have too much concern about our needs with clocks being on time. This is not a problem. It's like, yeah, you know, and but who knows? However we use it, right? However we use it, we can use time to be limitless in our own way, to get beyond time. We can use the time we have to be helpful. Someone can say, can you be here at 5 o'clock? And you can say, yes. In order to blow the limits of time, I will be there at 5 p.m. exactly on the dot for you. Because time now is a useful thing. How may I serve you? Show up at 5 p.m. What do I need to use? My watch. Oh, I happen to have the karma to have a timepiece that will allow me to please you by being on time. You know? I mean, because how are we going to break the concept of time? We've been fighting with each other and putting each other in jail for ridiculous things. Still to this day, you know, for thousands and thousands of years, we've been squabbling over things. You know, how are we going to break the prison that is the concept of time? You know, if there's no findable moment that you can say that you came from being this Bardo being, or however you want to say it, and then into a womb and into some kind of rebirth, bird, human. If there's no findable moment, and then that's a projection. Then something's making it all happen. There's some being that's experiencing all these things and being trapped in the illusion of believing it as being real. And what if you just knew that? No problem. Yeah, Bardo, boom, cool. Sadness? All right. What if you just knew that? What if you just knew that there was no self-existent sadness? Sadness? It applies to everything. Sadness, the sadness, a sadness? What if you just knew that what isn't there in the sadness? Well, let's see. How about permanent? Permanent isn't there. When did it start? I don't know. It must have had a start. We had a start. What does that mean? It's going to have an end. Can you find the objective moment that a past life turned into this life? It's like we have to distinguish between the one that apparently exists because our karma is forcing us to perceive the one that apparently exists. And that is the one that does exist. The one that your karma is forcing you to perceive. That one is the one that exists. If it wasn't that way, then it could never change. You could never have any different idea, right? The karma that brought you into this life and the karma of being forced to perceive it that way, that's the very karma that will force you into seeing yourself die. And what if you could understand, right? What if you could debate your way in a logical argument to actually logically noodle bake yourself into understanding that it was a projection? And because it was a projection, that's why I was born. That's why I saw myself being born. Because some people say it's a projection, so it's not real. Well, Manjimika says it is real. It is real because it's a projection.
Can we just,
Sure.
so going back to the tree and the sprout,
Yes.
or the sprout,
Seed and sprout.
seed and the sprout. Maybe there is a moment where,
Hold on a second. The cat's eating the microphone.
okay.
Kismet. You can't eat the microphone. I know, even though we can't find the moment where you swallow it. Okay. So, okay, the seed and the sprout.
I'm just really struggling with what you're saying.
You and all of us.
Yeah, thanks. With the seed turning into the sprout,
Yeah.
maybe there is a tiny, really, really moment where the
Awesome.
seed is turning into a sprout.
It's turning. It's in the process of turning.
It's all in the process, but it's tiny increments, okay?
Right.
As nature
It's a jiffy.
grows. It's a jiffy.
Okay.
Little jiffy moment.
Okay.
And we just don't have, as humans, we don't have the ability to perceive, because of our karma, to be able to see that particular moment.
So you're saying that,
So maybe it is turning,
okay,
like the sun and the egg touching.
okay,
Intellectually, we can't.
right.
Doesn't
Okay.
mean it doesn't happen like that.
So you're saying that is there a possibility that we cannot find the moment of a seed turning into a sprout because our karma doesn't allow us to see the moment of turning into a sprout. But there really is a moment of the seed turning, but we just can't see it. Our karma prevents us from actually seeing it.
Yeah, we
Right.
just don't have the know-how or the intellect or the ability for some reason to be able to break it down so tiny.
Right. Even though there's like scientific machinery like beyond comprehension that can actually measure a moment of time, or like can actually measure the speed of light traveling 3 centimeters. then what? Go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, I just thought I had something to contribute.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You mentioned like instruments that can measure that.
Yeah.
So I mean, in my mind, the sprout would be the moment. I guess if we're not Buddhist, would be the moment when the first point of the sprout emerges past the skin of the seed.
Yeah.
So when it emerges. So if we had a really precise instrument, it could measure the exact point in time from when the seed came to existence, I guess, or when you water the seed, up until the point where that happens. It would give you number of hours or minutes followed by milliseconds, followed by decaseconds or whatever and whatever into infinity. So it would never be able to give you like 3 minutes. It would be 3 minutes, 13 seconds, and how many ever milliseconds and how many ever, and keep breaking it down. So I would think that there would never be a point in time that it would really be able to stop until the abilities of the machine are, it can't give you any more of this decimal point.
Right, right.
So I wonder.
Right. So, Tim, what you're saying, or like what is, someday there'll be a machine that can find the undividable moment, and they'll say, "I found it. We found it. Eureka! We found God. We found what we can now call a moment, and it's undividable. It's undividable.
A moment hinging on the change, though.
Just any moment. So it's like, notice how we're immediately forgetting about what seed and what sprout, right? Where is the seed, other than what you're calling it a seed, for one thing, right? And the sprout. So this process of like evolution, like of I'll tell you what we're looking for. We're looking for something outside of our karma. We're looking for something going on that is not affected by our perception. And then it's like, okay, we found the ultimate thing. We found the ultimate thing that is objective. We found the objective moment that the seed became the sprout. And if we could find the objective moment, no matter, then you would have found the first self-existent thing in the universe. The first thing that didn't depend on the perception of it being what it is.
Well, I'm not saying it does depend on the perception, but the seed is still there.
Is it?
Still, the physical, like the material of the seed is still there. I'm labeling it as
Yeah.
seed turning into
Right. Right. Depending on who you're talking to. Does the seed have parts?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can talk functionalist. Yes, Amanda. Thank you. That's as far as we're going to go. The raw data is there. The raw data is there. Actually, they don't even go that far. They just think, okay, if there's a seed, that's far enough. The seed is there. It exists. It becomes a sprout. That's as far as we need to go, right? Causes and results. That's as far as we need to go, because that will get us far enough to understand that yelling at somebody will only get, well, there is a cause and a result. Yelling at somebody will get me yelled at, will bring me suffering. And that's enough to stop your mental afflictions. That's enough. But it's not enough to blow apart the concept of, in the mind, that is thinking that I can't become a Buddha. I can't change my perception of myself into a Buddha. So if we can say, so that I was once this egg, I was once this thing, and a series of moments became this bigger body. And if we can say, like, you take the seed, and does the seed have parts, and does the parts have parts, and where is seed coming from? And is this seed something that I'm finding pleasing or unpleasing? Am I finding irritating or pleasing, right? All those things come into play. Because if you're looking at it and you can find the moment when the seed is no longer in existence and the sprout is there, and somehow we just can't see it because we don't have the karma to see it, then that's just the same thing as saying there is a self-existent moment. That's the same thing as saying there exists something in the universe that is objective. It does not require. It is not dependent. You see, and in the at the risk of getting in deep trouble, because this is a very tricky idea. Because at some point, a practitioner is ready to take it to the next step, because what makes it possible? If you can take the raw data and you can keep breaking that down, so the seed, and you can keep breaking down the seed, and you keep going and going and going, and you can't find like a partless particle, what's going on? So nothing exists. Does nothing exist then? This is what scares people. Does nothing exist then? Is nothing working? Are things pointless? Do I not exist? Like what makes it all possible? Like what are we? We're limited by our understanding of what we are. And that's what we are. We are the limit of our understanding, right? So really, if we all sat in this room and said to each other, or thought, can we point to the place where each one of us ends and the next one begins? This is a great one. It's the same as the seed and the sprout. Point to the boundary between me and you, between you and them, right? We want there to be one. We want there to be one. We want there to be something that exists independent, objectively. I mean, so Leonardo, like, where do I start and Leonardo stop? I mean, at what point is there a place that I can point to where it's okay, now this is the end of me and this is the start of Leonardo? Right? What am I other than my idea of Leonardo? How do I exist other than my idea of Leonardo? I am my idea of Leonardo. Right? So we are the idea of a seed turning into a sprout. If we believe that we can find a findable, objective moment where a seed can become a sprout. It's mind-boggling what it is. It's mind-boggling, and it's meant to be mind-boggling. It's meant to freak you out just enough, and it's meant to boggle the mind enough to open us up to new possibilities. Because we just accept our limits. It's like Kismet here. Kismet came to our house, and he hid in a closet for 3 days. Right? And now Kismet is, there never was anything to fear. There never was anything for Kismet to be afraid of. And that's how we live until we've broken our limitations. So what I say to you, Amanda dear, is that's a great debate. And what would be good is if you just try and find it in your meditation, because enlightened beings, like, they have been scripturally, they have been saying things that were recorded in scripture that science is only figuring out now. And what were they doing? They were meditating. They were meditating, right? And so, what is the thing that we are? That makes John, right? Possible. It sure isn't John. It sure as heck isn't John. But I'm sure hung up on John. I'm limited to my idea of John. And if there was a findable objective moment that I could say, here's when the John came into being, I would always have to have been a John. John could never start. So if I'm not this John, then what am I? How can I get outside of time as long as I'm still John? John lives in time. John, quote the concept John, a John, the John. Just a speck in a bird's eye, that John. How am I ever going to let go of that John? How am I ever going to stop being hung up on quote John, unquote, quote John? I'm so attached to that guy. I'm so attached to his appearance and how everyone sees him. How am I ever going to let that go? I want everyone to like him. I want to be paid well. I want John to get a raise. I want John to work less and play more. How am I ever going to defeat John? John is the cause of all my problems. The best things in my life that have ever happened, John wasn't there. How am I just going to get rid of that guy? What am I going to do? It's like, it's the whole thing right there. Yeah. This is why we're debating. This is why we're debating. It's not about anything other than what I'm talking about right this very second. Eliminate the cause of all suffering. Believing in the dude, John. Who is going to be there to suffer? What if I knew that John was just simply a play of divine, what if I simply knew that I was never in control of this John? What if I knew that? Would John be suffering then? Would I perceive a suffering John if I knew the causes of John? Who would I be then? Who would I be then if I was actually looking at John instead of being John? Who would I be then? Who would I be then if I was aware of the John that someone else saw? How many Johns would I be then? Oh, how many Johns could I be? You just gotta blow that sucker right apart. Just go for it. Just go for it. It will end all pain. And then you'll be able to totally embrace everything. The only thing that's stopping us from completely accepting, loving, joyfully, living life passionately is the John. The John. Hi, I'm the John. If you just, I am the object John. See him? Huh? So, and then when the object John loses the power to run the show, then you just get to do all kinds of things and just thoroughly enjoy them. You can be sad. you can be, oh, this sucks. Yeah. Because it's just what's happening. Because it's going to end. This is a great song. Ah, awesome. I want to buy you dinner. Great. So all this is the defeat of the John. That's it. It's all about that. So when you notice the Amanda, right, arise in relation to situations, then you can use that. You can use that. Oh, here's this Amanda now. And who's seeing that Amanda? What isn't there? Oh, the Amanda that I think is there. The Amanda that I think someone's seeing doesn't exist. How awesome. I can do anything now. I'm not in control. Yeah, if you could find the findable moment, you could find the findable John, then I could never have not been a John. Boring.
Is it like when we get out of our own way and all of a sudden we're
It's-
totally
it's-
present?
it's
or
like, yeah,
those
you
little
take that
small
moment.
moments?
Exactly. Like what if that's like a little glimmer of light there. You know? Because until we're like a Buddha or something like it, it closes back in. It's like a moment. Because it's not like one day you're totally closed in and then the veil's lifted and boom, you're a Buddha. It's like we have moments of like, wow, I was out of my own way for a second. Everything went way better. And we feel this rush of prana. And then, because we don't have the karma for that to continue, it closes up and then we just kind of forget about it. And we're back into our little, you know. Yeah, right, you know. I want this, I want that, I don't want this, I don't want that. I want this, I want that, I want this, I don't want that, I want this, I don't want that. That's all that's going on. That's it. Doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter whether you're like a, you know, it doesn't matter what you're doing. All right, we're going into now formal logic. We're going to talk about tak. In tak madruk, we say tak madruk, right? Well, tak, say tak.
Tak.
Tak has three meanings, of course, because Tibetan words often have many meanings. There's three different meanings here that we're going to talk about. Like the logical statement, consider sounds. They are a changing thing because they are made. Is a tak. It's a logical statement. It's also called a tak. Okay. It also means the reason, like because they are made, is the tak. It also could mean the main thing mentioned in the reason. The made thing. The made thing. The tak is like the sound. The tak is the made thing. The thing that is made. So what's the definition of a tak? Anybody remember? What's the definition of a reason? Anything you put forth as a reason is a reason. It doesn't mean it's correct. A reason is a reason. It doesn't have to be a correct reason in order for it to be a reason. Right? Anything you put forward as a tak, right? That cello exists because the sky is green with polka dots. I just gave you a reason why the cello exists. I just gave you a tak, a reason. It's not a correct reason. Yeah.
What comes to my mind is because how heavily flavored reason is being correct.
Pardon, everyone?
Heavily flavored
Yeah.
reason is
Yeah.
being correct, and that proposition. I think proposition. The proposition is
Right.
I just because of we're using language, we're using words that help. And then, because this is a very different way of looking at reason. In terms
Very different.
because reason right away is like a reason. The idea of reason is being correct.
Right. The voice of reason.
And a proposition is just it's a more neutral term. I don't
Right.
know what I should be talking about.
But I'll tell. But the thing is, we don't want to be neutral. We want to. I mean, we want to be the extreme.
But is it a neutral term in terms of it can go either way?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sure. Do you mean proposition or reason?
Proposition.
Yeah. Well, so what? I agree with what you're saying. That proposition sounds more like, okay, I am proposing that the cello exists because the sky is green with polka dots. Is much different than consider the cello. It exists because the sky is green with polka dots. I didn't propose it. I gave a reason. Or did I propose it? I don't know. But for our purposes, we're just in Buddhist logic terms, we need to use the term reason so that we can use it in this way. What's a correct reason and what's an incorrect reason? Because most of us are living our lives with improper reasons. You see? So if we can learn to prove to ourselves when a reason is a correct reason, when certain things come together to make it a correct reason, then we can apply that to our lives, and then we can actually have a correct reason for doing something. And it's always going to come down to like, well, is karma involved or not? You know, like it's always going to shuffle down to karma, you know, and getting outside of that limited sphere of reality. So there's a big difference between a reason and a correct reason. So we just use reasons to do our debates. So here's the definition of a correct reason. Say tak yang dak. It's a reason that holds. So what it means is a reason where the three relationships hold. And this isn't so, yeah, the three relationships hold. And if you're trying to debate in Buddhism, all the things that you're using as proofs to whoever you're debating, the person you're debating must accept them as being true. So you can't use things they don't accept as true in your arguments, in your debates, or else that's bad logic, and you're actually giving them a bad reason. So if you're like debating Buddhism with your friends at work and they're not buying it, it's because you failed at using terms that they agree with to begin with. I've done that lots of times. I stopped. I stopped. You can't take, like I one time I was talking to somebody and I was trying to convince them that Jesus was a Buddha. You know, oh, that was John that did that. That was John. That was John who wanted to, you know, right? I think you used arguments like, yeah. So Jesus walked on water, didn't he? Oh yeah. Well, didn't he like take someone's ear and like put it back on their head? And yeah. Didn't he like you know, make the fish keep coming out of the basket and the bread and all that? Didn't he do that? Yeah. So he's like can just do miracles? Yeah. Well, so then he couldn't appear any way he wanted to anyone in order to benefit them. So no answer. Right? Well, couldn't that mean that, you know, that Jesus could appear to like a Muslim and teach something that was helping them? Instantaneous, you know, instantaneous shutdown, and just like, no. Okay? What was I doing that for? What was the purpose of doing it? You know, I can't think of one good reason. And that was a good lesson for me, because what I saw was this person's wings get all janked up. I saw tension arise in their face. I saw them go stiff, and I saw them be a little bit angry for about a half an hour. Why did I do that? What was the point? What was the point? Well, I'll tell you what I didn't know back then. I didn't know about this. I didn't know that you to find common ground, and they need to accept something before you can push. So anyways, that's a very, very serious principle in Buddhist logic. And that no matter if you proved yourself right in your own mind and you use ideas that people don't accept already, then you just give them a bad reason. You're failing Buddhism is what you're doing. You're failing Buddhism. If you're interested in propagating Buddhism in the world, like if you think that karma and emptiness is an idea that can stop people's death from happening, then better be careful who you turn away from it by running around saying this and saying that and trying to disprove their religion. When anything that helps helps.
So then what would you say now?
I wouldn't say that.
You wouldn't say anything?
No. I was invited into a conversation about it. What are you studying? Or something like that. I would talk about what I was studying, and if they, if they volleyed in something about their religion, and I don't really consider me as a religious person, but because Buddha wasn't a Buddhist, right, like that. So it's easy to embrace all truths, right? So what I would do with that is I would simply try and find the thing that they find the most helpful about their religion, and magnify it. That's all. That's all I would do. Yeah. Only when someone's ready and they start asking you certain questions, it's like right?
So that was about trying to convince
No. The person was a Christian,
oh,
but it was trying to convince them that Jesus, that yeah, right. Well, no, because in some Christians say Buddha is a false idol, and that's actual evil.
Yeah.
It's actually evil to follow Buddhism or study Buddhism or read a Buddhist book. It's evil and it's bad for their mind, right? And
yoga too.
yoga, yeah, big time, right? And this person was one of those people.
Oh.
You see, and I was trying to prove to that person that Buddha wasn't like a person. Buddha is a concept. Buddha is just a title. It's not somebody, and that Jesus was a Buddha. And I was trying to join our religions or join our philosophies so that we were together instead of apart. Yeah. And all I did was make more separation. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. We're going to go. We're going to go into the three relationships. And I'm going to use this thing that I used before. Okay. This is like the Coke Classic 3-part statement. Okay. Consider sound is a changing thing because it is made. Now, this is what they would call this. This is a syllogism. There's 3 parts to it, and they all add up. And this is what they would call a correct reason, a reason that holds. And we're going to go through why. And this is the foundation of debate is right here. Okay. So when we're debating, and the defender says why, then at that point you have to offer forth a reason. And then the defender will decide how to respond. So you can think of it as 3 relationships, and there's 3 parts to this. Okay, there's the subject, which is 1. Okay, there's the quality that we're trying to prove about the subject, which is 2. And I'm just saying these numbers because they come in handy later when you start to use, like, you'll know 1 means the subject, 2 means the quality that you're trying to prove, and 3 means the reason you're using to prove that the subject has the quality. Okay? So, consider sound, is it a changing thing because it is made? The first test is called chokchu. Say chokchu.
Chokchu.
The first test is the relationship between the reason and the subject must hold. Meaning, is 3 true of 1? Okay, 3 is 3 true of 1. Is sound a made thing? Yeah, it is a made thing. So far, okay, it's holding. Second relationship. They call this the relationship of positive necessity, but it's not really important to know that terminology. You can think of it like this. If 3, then 2, right? Meaning, this is number 3. If it's a made thing, it must be a changing thing. If 3, then 2. That's why I'm saying the numbers, because it's much easier, right? So far we got, is 3 true of 1? Yes. If 3, then 2. If it's a made thing, it must be a changing thing. Yes. And that's called the second relationship. Which brings us to the third relationship, which is the negative necessity, the reason of negative necessity. If not 2, then not 3. If it's not a changing thing, it can't be a made thing. Okay? So this is why this statement is considered a good reason, a correct reason. Because all 3 relationships hold. So when they say, do the 3 relationships hold? That's what they mean. So what if, so let's go into responses. As a defender, the first thing that we need to look at, now that is, we go to, and this is why it's in order. 3 is true of 1. Consider sound, it's a changing thing, because it is made. What if I said, consider sound, it's a changing thing. No, what, yeah, consider sound, it is a changing thing because it is not made. I would say bad reason, right? Because sound is a changing thing, but the reason I gave is bad, right? Consider sound, it is a changing thing because it is the Eiffel Tower, right? Takmadru, bad reason, okay? What if I said, consider sound? Consider sound. It is pleasant because it is made, right? Right away, as a defender, the first thing you're going to, well, is 3 true of 1? Yeah, it's made. Is the quality necessarily true? No. Right? No. Just because it's a made thing doesn't mean it's a pleasant thing. So then you would say, Hyabamajun. The reason doesn't follow. The reason doesn't follow. And here's something new that I've learned in ACI 13. there's der means true. So, but if everything follows, consider sound, it's a changing thing because it is made. You can say der, which means true, but also you can say they say you can say the verb, which would be it is. You know, it's like Amanda. Consider sound it's a changing thing. It is made. Amanda will get it is. It is. So that's der or it is, either one. And so that's some possible. Those are responses that you do. And we don't have to open up a debate with a three-part statement. And we especially don't want to open up a debate with something that's correct.
Because it's done,
There's no need to debate any further, right? Unless the defender just looks at you and says no, right? Then you have to prove to them. Oh, so you don't believe this now? You have to prove to them. So a prasangika, why they call the Madhyamika prasangika, also called a telngyur. Say telngyur?
Telngyur.
It's Tibetan, that's another way of saying prasangika. What it means is a statement of necessity. And normally they're absurd. They're an absurd statement of necessity. So if somebody says, take sound, they're changing things because they exist. If they agree with you, you see. And the idea is, as a debater, it's good, you get good at saying things that are like almost true, but not quite true, right? Say, sound is a changing thing because they exist. And just say the defender said, true, it is, it's true, they exist. Then you say, oh, I guess emptiness is a changing thing, right? And then that's how you make a sarcastic statement, which makes them kind of go, right? Well, I guess emptiness is a changing thing, right? So you don't ever ask them directly, you just imply something, which then makes the argument go in a certain way. Which is why you'll see good debaters, they're not going like three-part statement, talking about three-part statement, Kavalanjan, three-part statement, they're like, da, da, da. You see, like some of the debaters that have been debating for a while, you'll notice it's quicker, and they're saying, oh yeah, so, so karma doesn't exist. Boom. And then, yeah. So just for fun, on the other side of this thing is some possible responses. And we'll get around to these in time, but we can just debate in English for now. But if someone says, if you say, so emptiness is a changing thing, right? And you go, Nimbata, Nimbata, say Nimbata. That means like, what? Are you telling me? Like, are you telling me that emptiness is a changing thing? Nimbata. Interestingly enough, if you go Nimbata, or Nimbata, that means I agree. Nimbata, I agree. Okay, I agree. Nimbata. Right, so then you're like, oh, so I guess, so emptiness is a changing thing, right? I guess because it exists as a changing thing, right? Oh, yeah, I guess emptiness, I guess things are more or less empty, right? I guess sometimes they're 50% empty, sometimes they're 60% empty. And you're like that, and the defender is just sitting there, and everyone's having to think about emptiness, struggling with their concepts. Too bad. I guess we can't get enlightened then, right? You're like that. You play around like that. And and the defender is at the mercy of your attack, but the attacker is also at the mercy of the defender's response, right? So the responder can say, can you repeat that? La, teacher, or why, or who said that? Like why, or who said that? Or I didn't say that, who said that? Pardon? Teacher? Teacher. And then corsi, corsum, right? You go around in circles. So this is the attacker. Like like we had a few of those, the other few debates where the defender was responding differently a couple times, and it's like the attacker going, corsi, corsum, you're going around in circles. First you're agreeing with this, then you're agreeing with something else totally, right? You go around in circles. Corsi. Corsi, I crossed it out. I shouldn't say corsi, it should be corsi. And if they give you a really bad answer, you can go, no, it's and if you want to get everyone going, you can go, no, it's or whoa, and everybody can go, whoa. Everybody. Anyway. Sorry, the Nimbata. With the down. Down, Nimbata.
Is that, are they still agreeing, or are they saying?
No, Nimbata is like, are you kidding me? Don't be silly. Like, do what? What are you saying? Like, Nimbata is like, okay, I agree. So let's debate. So let's do some debating. So far we've been doing this thing where we've had two rows and an attacker and a defender. Would anyone like to just break off on a side group and just have a little debate with somebody besides the group? We don't have to all do one, or if you'd like to challenge someone to debate privately, it wouldn't be private, it'd be like maybe like right here, while we did the row. Or we can just all do individual debates too, in pairs. Still seeing. Okay, so let's do that. So let's have a group, and then also if anybody decides they would like to if they feel strong enough to do a one-on-one, you can ask someone like, is there anyone in here that would feel strong enough to do a one-on-one at this point? Okay, so. Okay, and we have Mala's over here. Marge ran away right in time.
That's right.
If you need a Mala. If you need a Mala, here's 3. Anyone needs one? Anyone needs a Mala?
So what is this in English?
So that's really funny, because if you read in the reading, and you listen to Ishmael Roche, Ken Ricochet, he says, I don't really know. We've been doing this for years, but this is what it means, but I can't really say, I can't give you a translation. Yeah.
What, the last one?
Yeah. Anybody want a mouth? Okay.
So we can just say that for those about it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's form 2 lines.
Maybe it means people.
Does anybody have something that they would like to debate? That they would like to just bring up as a debate topic? And be the attacker on, or give it to someone else that like the attacker. And we also need a defender. Someone who sits on the couch and does the responding.
So there's just one
Yeah, and so
defender
we'll do.
and one attacker?
Yeah, and we'll do 2 rows and we'll watch, and then we'll kind of all sort of participate in all in a way.
I think you bring people into the demo.
Oh no, everyone's been doing it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think people that have to get Zoom.
Sorry, I haven't been
Christine, you got anything you want to attack? Got any? Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you. I'll do this then. So form 2 lines. So as a defender, I'm allowed to ask for help. I can say, help me, and I can get help from the people. And remember, we always start with each attribution, which means let's consider this subject.
Each attribution. Let's consider
Emptiness.
So let's consider emptiness. It is so an unchanging thing. No, okay. No. Let's consider emptiness. It is so a changing thing because it is similar to the pen. So you're saying that just because it's similar to the pen doesn't mean that it's not a changing thing. Sure. So consider this pen. It, what do you see? You can't tell me what you see. No, you can tell.
Right? Statements only. Statements only.
This is a pen.
Yeah.
You see a pen.
I see that.
Okay. So what you see in front of you is a pen.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I take the lid off, it's still a pen.
Yeah.
Okay. I chew this thing off, it's still a pen.
Yeah.
Okay. So the emptiness of the pen is in the pen because I can't see it.
Kevin.
Okay, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not in this pen. You can both English and.
Okay, I'll just do it.
Oh no, everyone did it both.
You're so demanding. Kevin and John, the reason doesn't follow.
Thank you. Just you So, just because you can't see the emptiness doesn't mean that it's not in the pen.
Wow. Can you repeat that?
Okay, just because you cannot see the emptiness of the pen doesn't mean that doesn't mean that it's in the not in the pen.
True.
Okay. So if after many years, billion years go by, and this pen deconstructs and decomposes, and I take it apart and it's completely gone, you can't tell, the emptiness of the pen is still there?
Yes. It is.
What?
Yes.
So you're telling me once this pen goes completely out of existence, the emptiness of the pen still exists?
Yes.
So you're saying that there is an emptiness of the pen that is like floating out in space, waiting for maybe another pen to attach to and be the emptiness of the pen.
Yes.
So you're so you're telling me that there's emptiness floating around, waiting to attach to a pen.
No, I didn't say that.
You said that?
No.
I'm pretty sure you said that. Okay. So the emptiness of the pen, this pen goes out of existence, completely gone.
No, I didn't say that.
I said that. So the pen's gone. It no longer exists. You can't
tell me what happens to the emptiness of the pen because it's unchanging, or changing, unchanging.
I can't tell you because I can't. The reason why I can't tell you is because it's unchanging.
Yeah.
The reason doesn't follow.
The reason doesn't follow. So this pen, it has emptiness in it because if a dog looks at it, they may not see a pen.
Okay.
Okay. So that means that, but let's call it as a, we all see a pen, everybody sees a pen. Okay, so we all see a pen, but this is gone.
Okay.
You can't tell me how it is that the emptiness of the pen goes out of existence at the same time as the pen being gone.
I can't tell you.
You can't tell me.
Talk my group.
Okay.
No, I can't.
Oh, so you can tell me how this pen can, once it's gone, you can tell me how the emptiness of the pen is gone.
Yes.
Oh,
Show me. There we go.
Somebody help me. Why? Somebody help me explain why the emptiness goes out of existence when the pen goes out of existence.
Because nobody ever can see it. So she wants to maybe be able to see it.
I'm here. I'm looking around. Where, you know, I just don't see a pen. Where's the emptiness of the pen?
No, that's not.
The emptiness, to imply that the emptiness is existing implies that it's self-existent and that cannot be.
So then saying that the pen goes out of existence. So when the pen goes out of existence, so does the emptiness of the pen. That is saying that it is that the emptiness is self-existent.
I'm sorry. The pen goes out of existence. Its emptiness, likewise, goes out of existence, and because they are not both of them, they're both not self-existent. You cannot have them.
So then you are agreeing that once this pen goes out of existence, the emptiness goes out of existence? Do you agree with that?
Well, I agree. Yes. Once the pen goes out of existence, the emptiness goes out of existence.
Okay. So then emptiness is a changing thing. Emptiness is a changing thing. You just said the pen goes out of existence, and so does the emptiness go out of existence. So therefore, emptiness is changing.
That's my group.
my reason doesn't follow? How come my reason doesn't follow? There's the pen, there's the emptiness of the pen is gone, the emptiness is gone, it changed. Emptiness changed. Oh!
I agree.
So you can tell me how it is that the pen, when it goes out of existence, the emptiness goes out of existence. You can tell me how emptiness is still unchanging. You can't tell me.
Stop.
You can tell me.
Do it. Well, because emptiness is, if emptiness was a changing thing, then it would have to be a made thing. If emptiness was a changing thing, it would have to be a functioning thing.
But it still doesn't talk about what happens to the emptiness of the pen once the pen is in.
That's not true.
Oh, so it does?
Sure.
You can tell me what that is?
Sure.
Sure.
Well, the pen, emptiness needs something to be emptied of.
Okay. That would be, yeah, Bata.
Who else wants to go? Does anybody else want to do? Does anybody still people would like to do? I can attack. If someone would like to see, watch that. Do a quick one, and then maybe someone else can.
No,
I'll just see.
No, it's fine.
And just tell me something that you'd like me to debate. Throw up something.
Jesus was a Buddha.
Okay.
Yeah, you want that one? Or just
Well, no, I
No,
was just gonna say renunciation.
renunciation? Okay. Then okay. What do you want? Jesus was a Buddha?
Jesus was the one.
Or renunciation?
Oh,
Both are good. Both are good.
What would you
Renunciation?
I think
Okay.
renunciation is more helpful.
Yeah, and probably
Yeah.
maybe not,
Yeah, I
on Ustream.
Sure.
Maybe not on Ustream. Yes, true. Okay, so who wants to defend?
What's your question?
Renunciation, we're going to debate renunciation.
Oh, just what?
You're a defender. Someone's got to defend. My decision.
I will.
All right, Carol, go.
If no one else wants to.
Go
Go for it, but then I want that in front of me, so I can.
You?
Do you want?
Yeah.
I will hold it.
Oh, wow.
I'll hold it.
So I can look at it. Sorry. I have no idea.
So it's got a.
I mean,
This is
Christmas
just a-
balls.
it just has a stand. Yeah. It goes to water and it's
Yeah,
pretty good.
it's pretty much.
Yeah.
So how about we put this somewhere that Carol can see it, but it's not in the way of.
Use the ground. On the
In
ground.
the ground? Okay, there you go. Lay it flat on the ground. Okay. Okay, so it's 9 o'clock. Yeah, it's 9:02. So if anybody just needs to go right now, they can go. And if you want to stay and debate for a while, stay and debate. It's totally up to you. Whatever you like to do. Okay, so we should get. Can you maybe somebody else go over here just so there's more like 2 actual rows. And if I'm stalling, you're allowed to check me out of the way and continue attacking. Pronunciation. This sign is thwarting my attack. It's all right.
That's why too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You've got quite the arsenal, figuring it out, you know.
Okay. Everyone has pronunciation.
Everyone has pronunciation?
What is that? Everyone has pronunciation? Everyone has pronunciation?
Has pronunciation.
Everyone has pronunciation.
Who said that?
I did. Everyone has pronunciation.
Sure. Okay. Oh, no. Invital. Are you kidding?
No, okay, so that's me. I can say that.
me?
So you can say, Invital means like, are you kidding me? Like if you say it, right? So what you're allowed to say is, chichir, which is why, takmadur, which is no bad reason, katamajin, reason doesn't follow, or der, true, or la, can you repeat that? Or like why, chichir and why are the same, so.
Oh, the Star Wars.
Yeah, the star ones are all the available, good observation. Leonardo, everyone has pronunciation.
I don't think no.
You know, I can't really say that because I didn't give a reason. You could say no.
No.
So not everyone has pronunciation. Is that what you're saying? You're telling me not everyone has pronunciation?
Sure.
Well, then I guess no one's suffering. No one's suffering. No one's suffering.
Bad reason. Hack my group.
Oh, people are suffering. People are suffering. People do have renunciation because they're suffering, and that makes them have renunciation. Suffering makes you have renunciation.
Hack my group. Bad reason.
Just because you're suffering does not mean you have renunciation. Is that what you're telling me? You're actually telling me that a person can suffer and have no renunciation?
Yes. True. Yes. True.
Okay. People suffering do so have renunciation because renunciation means that you want to avoid pain. You want to avoid pain, you have renunciation, so you have
Hack my group.
Well, so renunciation does not mean avoiding pain. Renunciation does not mean I want to avoid pain. You're telling me that that's what you're telling me?
No.
You're not telling us. You're not telling us. You're changing your mind. You're going to
Oh, no. I would say, pick that back.
Renunciation. So what you're telling me is that people in pain, just because they're in pain, doesn't mean they have renunciation. That's what you said. Oh. So then people that are in pain don't want to get out of pain. They do want out of pain. So just because you want out of pain doesn't mean you have renunciation.
Sure.
Okay. So renunciation, okay. Then renunciation has a specific meaning. There's a specific meaning to renunciation.
Sure.
You can't tell me what renunciation means. You can't give me the definition of renunciation. You can't give me the definition.
No.
You can give me the definition.
Sure.
Show.
Renunciation means means taking refuge in the Buddha. It means it means
Whoa, so this is where I got to go.
and then this is the reason why we're doing this, so I can find out what I don't know. What I can't say. It's the whole point of it. So so yeah, I'm pretty big about that. Somebody help me.
Ah. Beautiful. So giving up attachment to worldly objects is renunciation. Oh, giving up attachments to worldly objects is renunciation. So I have renunciation when I give away all my stuff.
No. That's not true.
That'd be too easy.
Too easy.
That would be too easy.
Hey. So you're saying just because I give away my stuff does not mean I have renunciation. Sure. So renunciation does not mean giving away my stuff.
Sure.
So a person with renunciation never gives away their stuff.
That's not true.
So a person with renunciation could give away their stuff. But it wouldn't mean they had renunciation.
Sure.
Oh. Well, then renunciation doesn't mean not being attached.
Doesn't mean.
That's true.
Well, it does mean not being attached.
Sure.
Okay, so renunciation doesn't mean not being attached to things. So renunciation means being attached to things.
No, wait a minute.
Yeah.
No? Can you repeat that?
Then renunciation does mean being attached to things. It's one or the other.
Does mean.
It's either you're attached to it or you're not attached to it. If renunciation is tagged to being attached or not being attached, and renunciation is about not being attached to being attached to renunciation. You just said it yourself.
Law, can you repeat that?
Well, I said your renunciation is about being attached or being not attached. We're discussing having a discussion, and you said it's not being about not being attached, so it must be about being attached. So being attached to objects is having renunciation. You said it yourself. Talk my groove. Wait a minute. So you're telling me, are you telling me that that renunciation isn't about objects? Is that what you're telling me? Ah, disgusting. So, are you telling me that renunciation has nothing to do with Snickers bars? Oh,
Sorry.
really? So you're telling me that?
No.
Oh, it does have to do. So renunciation does have to do with Snickers bars. Great. Now we're getting somewhere.
Sure.
Oh. So I can go buy a Snickers bar and I get renunciation. This is awesome.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. Reason doesn't follow.
Oh, just because I buy a Snickers bar doesn't mean I get renunciation. Okay. But I do get renunciation if I buy 3 Snickers bars.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. The reason doesn't follow.
Oh. Okay. I get renunciation if I eat 3 Snickers bars in a row.
Yeah, but I'm not sure.
No?
Doesn't follow.
Okay. So then it's, I guess, in your enlightened world, you're going to tell me how it is that Snickers bars and renunciation go together. Show!
Renunciation and Snickers bars. Snickers bars are not help me out again. What was the renunciation definition? Help me. Okay.
Oh, we're still on that.
Snickers bars are an example of attachment to the world, to samsara, and by renouncing Snickers bars, it is an acceptance of understanding renunciation. Oh dear.
Oh, awesome. This is great. So all I have to do to get renunciation is stop eating Snickers bars. Like just stop buying them, and I got renunciation. Awesome. Huh? Calvin John? No, it's not true. You just said it was. You just said if I can understand that, my attachment to the Snickers bars is like causing me trouble, they just stop buying them, and then it'll work out for me. I'll have renunciation. You just said it.
Can anybody else try it in here?
Yeah.
Somebody
Want to come here?
No, because citizens.
Or you want to?
What do you got? Ah, something better than that. What do you got? Choke.
Snickers bars, if I buy 3 and eat them all, I understand that they are not going to cause they may cause my happiness or they may cause my pain and suffering, but I'm not going to look at them and think they're self-existent and going to make me happy.
So you're saying that if I eat enough Snickers bars to make me feel different about Snickers bars, I'm going to understand something? So you're okay. This is good. This is great. Now you're telling me that getting. So now you're telling me that food sickness is the path to Buddhahood. No, you're saying something else. You're saying that there's something about me eating enough Snickers bars to understand something. So you're saying, okay, just because I eat 3 Snickers bars, I'm going to understand the nature of Snickers bars. That's what you're telling me.
No.
It's not. Oh, no. It's not. There's some other way to understand the nature of a Snickers bar.
Yes.
You can't tell me what that is.
I can.
You can tell me.
Yes.
Show!
A Snickers bar is not going to make me happy from its inside, and therefore I'm attached to it.
Oh, so if I understand that my happiness doesn't come from the Snickers bar,
Mhm.
that has something to do with renunciation. Is that what you're doing?
Yes, I'm renouncing the fact. Yes. Renouncing.
Okay, so this is really weird. So you're telling me that there's something about the Snickers bar that I don't quite understand yet, but if I understand it, it will help me understand renunciation.
Yes.
Oh. So there is something about objects in renunciation. There is something about objects.
Sure.
Oh, so there's something about objects that help me have renunciation.
Sure.
You can't tell me what that is.
I can.
Sure.
If one takes refuge, if I put all my refuge in objects, self-existent making me happy, then I'm not renouncing the objects of the world.
Oh.
But if I see all the objects in my world, including Snicker bars, as neutral and dependent on my experience with them is dependent on my karma and the emptiness of the object, then this is complicated.
K word.
Yeah.
Okay.
How can I simplify this?
No.
An object that I see in my world is perceived by me in a certain way, and that is dependent on my karma.
Oh.
And the object has to have a quality of emptiness.
So the object has a quality of having emptiness.
Yeah.
Even Snickers bars have emptiness.
Yeah, even Snickers bars.
And so understanding the emptiness of an object is bodhicitta.
No.
It isn't. So understanding the emptiness of
Yes.
an object is not bodhicitta.
Hang on.
Now, understanding the emptiness of an object is bodhicitta.
Yeah.
Okay. So then all I need to do to get bodhicitta is understand that the Snicker has no self-nature, and I have to know bodhicitta. Awesome. Yeah, you just said it. So this is good. So we have the Snickers bar now is responsible for renunciation and bodhicitta.
Powerful Snicker bar.
Oh, no, yeah,
No,
reason.
bad reason.
Government
Government all kinds of whys and why nots. Okay, so let's consider the three principal paths. In Buddhism, the three principal paths. There are no three principal paths because you can't tell me what the three principal paths are, Amanda.
Oh my gosh. Pressure.
There are no three principal paths. There are none. There is none. There is none. Because you can't tell me. You can't tell me. You can't tell me what they are.
Hey, where's that coming from? Yeah. Look at that. Yeah. Any of these.
You could say Takamajun.
Yeah.
Because just because you can't tell me doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't tell me the three principal paths. Oh, I didn't give you a reason. You can't tell me the three principal paths. You can't.
I can tell you what I think it is. I'm not sure.
You can't tell me the three principal paths.
I can.
Shh.
Renunciation. Bodhicitta. And yeah.
Oh,
Yay.
wisdom. Wisdom means not liking Snickers bars.
No, bad reason.
Wisdom doesn't mean not liking Snickers bars. Wisdom has nothing to do with Snickers bars.
Yeah.
So there's no point. in this conversation anymore because it was all about Snickers and now it's not.
Somebody help me out. My
Wisdom
brain's
has nothing to do with Snickers bars.
Yes.
Oh, it doesn't.
No.
It does.
Sorry, no.
Wisdom has something to do with Snickers bars.
Yes.
Okay. You can't tell me what Snickers has to do with wisdom. You can.
Yes.
Show! Choke, 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 choke.
I think it's already tried to be said.
Choke, choke. You can't do that. Choke,
Okay,
choke, choke,
okay,
choke.
okay, okay, okay. All right.
Just
When you see with wisdom, when you see with wisdom, you see things not as self-existent as they're coming from their own side. You see them. It's your perception.
wisdom is my perception. Everything I see is wisdom.
You have a pure worldview of things around you.
A pure worldview. Oh, I have clean glasses. I have wisdom.
No.
Pure view.
Pure worldview.
Pure view. Pure worldview. Oh,
Nothing is self-existent.
pure view. You can't tell me what pure worldview is.
Yes. No.
You can.
I can. Yes.
Sure.
Okay. It's knowing that things are not self-existent from your own side. It's knowing that you see things forced upon you by your past karma.
Oh,
And
okay.
you know that
So.
and you act accordingly.
Oh, okay.
You don't act like in crappy situations, and you just have pure worldview.
Oh, so understanding the. Are you telling me that the understanding the lack of self-nature to a Snickers bar is wisdom?
Yes.
Oh, it's wisdom. It's not renunciation.
Oh, sorry.
It's not renunciation. Understanding the emptiness of the Snickers bar is not renunciation because it's wisdom and it can't be the same thing. It can't be renunciation and wisdom. It's either wisdom or renunciation.
Okay,
Sure. Oh, okay, so it's not. But there's something about understanding the lack of self-nature to the Snickers bar, which is wisdom, which relates to renunciation.
Sure.
You can't tell me what that is.
No.
You can't. You can tell me.
Yeah.
Oh, choke, choke, choke.
It's your attachment.
Attachment again. We're back to the
Is it
start.
renunciation or attachment?
It's a what? Oh, okay. It's the
Wisdom is a catalyst for renunciation.
well,
No one here's told me what renunciation is yet.
renunciation is letting go of your desire for worldly things, not just objects, but everything. Getting rid of your desire.
We're still
for
talking about
fame
objects.
and- It's also for
I sure hope-
fame
Huh?
and all that stuff. It's not just objects.
Oh, it's not just objects.
Fame and
Someone left objects.
Ignorant attachment and ignorant aversion.
Ignorant attachment and ignorant aversion.
It's getting rid of.
So getting rid of ignorant attachment and ignorant aversion is renunciation.
Sure, yes.
Okay. So the absence of ignorant desire and the absence of ignorant aversion is the definition of renunciation.
No, it's close. Oh, go ahead, you keep it going.
I'm saying there because it sounds like it is to me.
Okay. What's you can't tell me what the opposite of ignorance is.
Sure. No.
You can't tell me what the opposite of ignorance is.
Sure.
Oh! The opposite of ignorance. What is it?
It's pure worldview.
Pure worldview now.
It's wisdom.
It's wisdom. So the opposite of ignorance is wisdom. But you just said that that not having ignorant desire and not having ignorant aversion would have to mean that you don't have ignorance, which would have to mean you have wisdom. So not having ignorant aversion and ignorant desire can't be renunciation because it's wisdom. And it's the same thing, can't wisdom and renunciation.
Law?
Go ahead and say that.
Law.
You just said that, Sharon just said, via you,
Actually, he did.
that
I wanted
the
to
absence
do
of
it.
ignorant desire and the absence of ignorant aversion is renunciation, and we just earlier decided that understanding the lack of self-nature to something is wisdom, and the opposite of ignorance is wisdom. And so if you don't have ignorance, you can't have ignorant desire, you can't have ignorant attachment. So if you don't have ignorant desire, ignorant aversion, that's wisdom, not renunciation, because it's either wisdom or renunciation. It can't be both of them.
Sure.
Okay. So we still don't know what renunciation is in this bunch of Dharma heads. Come John. You're saying Come John not necessarily follows. So you're saying that not necessarily follows. You're saying that just because wisdom means that doesn't mean that it's not renunciation. That's what you're telling me. Okay. So then it is. Wisdom and renunciation are the same thing. That's what you're saying. Not necessarily. We're getting vague here. Renunciation and wisdom are the same thing now? Or they're not the same thing? They're the same thing? Not the same thing?
They're wings.
The wings? Oh, renunciation and wisdom are the wings. Okay. Okay.
Compassionate wisdom.
Okay. There is no idea that makes me suffer.
No.
There is an idea that makes people suffer.
Sure.
You can't tell me what that idea is.
Sure.
Oh, no.
You can't. Oh, no.
No.
Well, you can tell me.
Sure.
Choke.
It's renunciation.
Renunciation?
Are we good, I guess?
Well, yeah.
The idea that renunciation makes people suffer.
No, you just said it. No.
You can't.
Yes, I'm sure. Yeah, sure.
So now you know. Now you know. So now you can tell me the idea that makes people suffer. Choke. Give it to me.
With sorry. If you suffer, you haven't got
There is no. Okay, so you can tell me the idea that makes people suffer.
The idea that makes people suffer is renunciation.
The idea that makes people suffer is renunciation.
Sure, it's not
Well,
renunciation.
that
It's the
sucks.
opposite.
So, wait a minute, hold on a second, wait a second.
No. Opposite. I'm really
The
confused.
three principal paths, no one can tell me the three principal paths. You said renunciation. So the first principal path actually is the cause of suffering. Because renunciation makes people suffer, so the Buddha teaches suffering. The Buddha came up the light and said, guess what? Here's how to suffer. Renunciate.
No, it's the opposite. No. Can't have my mind on.
Okay. Okay. Well, Amanda obviously doesn't know. So sorry, Amanda. Leonardo doesn't know. There is an idea that causes suffering.
The idea is
Samsara.
Samsara causes suffering. Samsara causes suffering now? No. We're really all in trouble.
Your bad deeds.
Your bad deeds cause suffering.
Ignorant.
What's this now? An option? Is this an option?
Ignorant
option. Ignorance. Zero is trying to get a word ahead of us. The option started Sarah.
the idea that me, am self-existent.
The idea.
That's what causes my suffering.
So there's something about the idea of things being self-existent that is the cause of suffering. Is that what you're telling me? This is getting
Well, that's what you said.
So the idea that
I'm agreeing with that.
the idea that me and possibly other things like Snickers bars are self-existent, they cause me suffering.
The idea that I think that I am self-existent.
Right. And does that just apply to me? Does
No,
that,
it applies, that applies.
so it's all inclusive?
Yeah.
It's all inclusive?
Yeah.
Okay,
But the
so,
main cause is
okay.
that I think.
so so you're saying, if I understood that objects are not self-existent, if I understood that I am not self-existent, then nothing matters. Because everything's void of self-existence. There's no point to
it's all
anything.
dependent. That's not true.
It's not true. It's not true. There's something about that. It's not true. So just because things are void of self-existence doesn't mean they don't matter.
Right.
So they do matter. So things matter now.
Yes.
Well, they do matter. Oh, good. Okay. So you can't tell me why it is. You can't tell me why, because things are empty, they do matter. You can't tell me.
They matter.
You can't tell me.
I can't tell you.
You can't?
I
Oh,
can't
damn
tell
it.
you.
I need to know.
I can't tell you.
You can't?
I can.
Joe.
Yes.
Joe.
Yes. No. I don't know. That part messes me
Okay. Yeah.
up. Maybe in 20 years.
It's supposed to mess
I don't know. So what am I telling you again?
You're telling me why it is that things being empty doesn't mean that nothing matters. You're going to tell me why they do matter. Because things are void of self-existence, somehow they do matter.
Because they are dependent on our projections.
Okay, so there's something
Somehow we
forcing our
see them.
projections.
Yeah.
You can't tell me what's forcing our projections.
Our past deeds.
Our past deeds.
Yeah.
Our past deeds
How
are
we
forcing
saw-
our...
yeah.
Right. So you're telling me that if I can understand that my past deeds are what are making my reality now, oh, if I understood that, then you're saying I would be giving up the idea that it works the opposite way. If I understood that.
Yes.
Right. So if I understood that, and I understood the idea of suffering, the idea that makes me suffer, now that we've gone through all this, no one here can tell me what renunciation is. There's no such thing as renunciation.
Basically giving it all to us.
Well, you can.
Sure.
Joe!
Didn't save us
You-
all.
My hero renunciation? What are you going to give up?
What am I gonna give up? The belief that worldly things are going to be the thing that's gonna get me to enlightenment.
Oh, so renunciation is simply stopping and believing that something outside of myself has the power to make me happy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere.
And also, how you get things isn't how you think you get things.
Well, it's kind of all the same. It's all the same.
Okay.
So, all right. I'm understanding now, thank you, that I'm giving up renunciation. I'm giving up something. I'm renouncing something. I'm renouncing the idea that makes me suffer. Now, one more step, and we'll close class. Just how do I know when I have renunciation? No. Go.
When I think night and day about.
That's it. When I think 24/7, how to get out of suffering, because now I know what is causing my suffering, and now I shall try to get out 24/7. Thank you. That was.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's do a short dedication.
So we have 24/7. I'm thinking all the time.
Yeah.
How to get out of samsara.
Yeah.
By using this idea.
Based on
that worldly things don't make me happy. It
Yeah.
comes from the inside and my.
Yeah. that your samsara will end when your karma for samsara ends, and that samsara is coming from your karma, and that you are samsara, and that 24/7 you're figuring out, okay, how do I use that principle of karma mechanism to just get me out? That's renunciation.
Wow, that was good.
Wordy.
She.
Fun, right? Yeah, so different than studying it out of the book. Yeah. Yeah. So next week we'll start to do a little bit more of a three-part statements. Like maybe in the week, during the week, you can formulate your own three-part statements. You know, correct ones and incorrect ones, maybe. And if you'd like to bring them to class and just say some wrong ones, say some correct ones, you know, and maybe even some examples from your life, you know, like consider work. It's the cause for me getting money because I get a check, right? Like logically, like if those three things don't meet up, then work can't cause money. You see, so just have fun. So. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amanda's coming after me with a bait.
She's got some
Hey, Sharon. The mighty Sharon. We need your help over here. Yes, sir. Do I need something? The paintings? Oh, yeah. Well,
Okay, because we history. We have to write stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we move it in.
Oh,
I have
okay.
to clear the water.
Oh, okay.
I tried to see.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, so it's actually it's going to go very
Because the new place, the old water comes from the and change.
Oh, I see. Well,
Sometimes we'll just do the laptop.
It's John.
Sometimes.
Oh, okay. So it has changed.
Because they were in the pocket.
oh, okay. Well, no, anything that's like that would be anything tools for painting or like